sexton of Glenwood Cemetery, and I am Flint. Flint itself it has a history that isn't normal. You know, other cities can't really say that they've had happen what has happened to Flint. And I know that sounds like a pretty generalized statement, but really what I mean is that the people in Flint revolutionized the world, and they did it on more than one occasion. They changed the game. Now, you know, we were a vehicle city before we ever made an automobile, and yet we were still the originator of the mass production of automobiles. You know, our education system has been studied twice on a national level and tried to be copied. And the cemetery itself is a unique place. There are other cemeteries that have similar layouts of the urban cemetery movement, or rural cemetery movement, where you know, the hills and the winding roads are all designed to really give it a park-like feel. In fact, the rural cemetery was the precursor to the modern-day park, and that's really beautiful. And the grounds are, you know, quite lush and lovely here. And then we add on top of it the fact that Flint was one of the wealthiest cities. In fact, I've heard it said that there were more millionaires per capita here than anywhere else in the country. And so you have this marriage of wealth and a beautiful cemetery, which is what Glenwood is. And so that's why I say, when I say it's a unique place, in that it really has elements that other places don't have. You know, they don't have 20-foot, you know, obelisks reaching every, you know, 60 feet like Lemelin has. The interesting thing about Thomas Dewey is that there's a very famous photograph in American history, one of the most famous, and that's of President Truman holding up a sign or a newspaper article that says, "Dewey wins." And basically what had happened was this newspaper had pre-printed the results of what they thought would be the election results before the election was actually counted. And so this erroneous newspaper article headline came up, and Truman got a hold of it and raised it up in mock celebration of actually winning. Well, this is Thomas Dewey's parents, two-time Republican national presidential candidate. And you know, one of the more interesting things about this story isn't the fact that it's the story, but how I became to know about it. And that's one of the time a student came in. He was maybe 17, 18 years old. It wasn't for an assignment, and it wasn't for anything he was doing for his school. He just had a natural love of local history. And he came in with his books under his arm that he just got from the library and done all this research on his own. And that's really one of those things that happens when you start digging into your local history. All these fascinating stories come swimming to the surface, and it kind of becomes an itch. You want to scratch it and learn more. One of the neat things about the site here is that there's two large Japanese maples. I've been told they're one of the largest here in Michigan, which is really neat in of itself. But really, do you see how they kind of canvas or arch over the mausoleum? If you were to go over to Applewood, you'll know that Mott's colors are crimson and cream. And it just so happens that in 2 weeks in spring, this blooms deep, rich white cream, and this is a deep, dark crimson red. And so they are actually planted to match the color scheme of Mott's estate. And it's just an incredible sight. Turner Angel is a statue that is in the back, towards the back of Glenwood Cemetery, and it's this beautiful angel standing solemn, stoic, kind of looking heavenward. And the unique thing about her, and the reason we talk about the story, is that she really represents Flint as a whole, and I'll tell you why. Her wings are actually broken off, and so you have this broken angel wing staring off into the heavens, almost as a stoic sense of hope, of knowing that she's an angel, and eventually her wings are going to grow back. You know, and so that really kind of represents Flint right now. That doesn't, you know, we know we're going to grow back, but we need to stand stoic and look towards the future. Flint needs a cheerleader. We need people that are telling the stories of our history in an effort to create or kind of stir up community pride. And community pride, as research has shown, grows when people know fascinating or interesting stories about the hometown that they grew up in. Well, Flint, you know, we have these stories. They've just been forgotten over time. And so I stand here in this cemetery where, you know, our ancestors are, trying to yell at the top of my lungs about the stories in order to, you know, generate this community pride. So I see myself really as like this cheerleader for our ancestors, in the hopes that the generation that is here now will hear that and develop this pride and place in community. There were giants among men in Flint, casting their shadows across the quiet river valley and over the future as well. The Flint we know today is a living testimonial to the stature of those men, to their vision, their courage, their ability, their hard work, and their faith in the boundless accomplishments possible for those who set their hearts and minds to a task. Then, as always, the men made the difference.